Hello everybody, Johnny Stewart here from John's Guitar Lounge. I'm here with the amazing Matteo Mancuso, and I'm so happy and appreciative that you're joining me and everybody here in John's Guitar Lounge on my channel here at the NAMM Show.
Thank you so much.
You truly are one of the most amazing guitar players that I have ever heard in my life.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're
too kind.
You're too modest. You have a completely unique style. If anybody out there has not heard Matteo play yet, check out his video on my channel from last year at the 2024 NAMM Show, which has over 200,000 views. You'll see how and hear how he plays. What I've been really looking forward to talking with you about, aside from trying to get some of that talent to hopefully transfer through to me when we shook hands before, was you play jazz and you fingerpick. And you've got such a very unique and impressive fingerpicking style. How did that come about anyway, learning to fingerpick that way?
Well, I started with fingerpicking just because I always saw my father playing with classical guitar at home. My father is also a guitar player, so he plays both electric and classical guitar. But he likes to play a lot of classical at home, and I always saw him playing with fingers. So back when I was around 10 years old, I didn't know that you should use a pick for the electric guitar and fingers with classical. I just thought that every guitar was meant to be played with fingers, like my father did, you know. So I started with the electric guitar, actually. I didn't start with classical because I was listening to a lot of rock stuff, like Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, AC/DC, were my first big influences, let's say. And then of course Hendrix. Hendrix was kind of my first big guitar player influence. So I started with electric guitar because I was listening to a lot of rock stuff, but I started with fingers because I always saw my father playing like that. So it was kind of a strange thing, but later on I discovered about the pick, but I was too lazy to restart again, you know? I got used to this fingerstyle technique really quickly, and I started like, let's say it was more like a bass technique before. I was always playing like that, and in Italian it's called appoggiato. It's literally you play the string with your finger and you hold it on the next string, and it's called appoggiato because of that. And later on I discovered about classical guitar, and I started to study a little bit of classical when I was around 14 years old, because I was in a musical high school. And at that time you didn't have a choice, there was only classical guitar at that school. So I was kind of forced to learn about classical guitar. But it was really useful to me, especially technique speaking. I learned a lot of stuff. I learned how to grow nails a little bit. I learned about all the different techniques that you need to use for the classical guitar. So it kind of helped me to achieve the technique I have now.
You mentioned nails as well. Yeah. Would you say you mostly pluck the string with a nail, or mostly with like the pad of your fingers or something?
Well,
like that?
It's a mix of both. If you only play with the flash of your fingers, the sound will be too dark and muddy for my taste. That's why I use nails.
Yeah.
In order to have the kind of attack, you need to have nails. But my nails are not very long compared to a classical player. You know, maybe you can see better on the camera, but they are not very long compared to a classical player.
You're right, I've seen some with extremely long nails.
Yeah, and a lot of classical players tend to do this kind of extremely long nails. And I don't really like that on electric guitar. I like to have like a little bit of nails so I can have the attack, but not too much. So it's kind of a mix of flesh and nail, yeah.
Have you ever tried to play with the pick before, or is that just not something that's ever really interested you?
Well, I tried sometimes, but it feels unnatural to me. I don't know why. Maybe because I started with fingers, so playing with the pick feels a little bit limiting for me.
You know, it's interesting. My father also was a guitar player as well, rock and some country and a lot of blues and things like that. He always used a flat pick. So I grew up always using a flat pick, and so as I've started to try and do more things, I've tried to learn how to finger pick over the years, and so that's very unnatural to me, just because of
because you're starting with the pick, right? The opposite, yeah.
But especially with an acoustic guitar, I feel so much more of a connection to the instrument when I'm just using my fingers and no pick. It's almost like sometimes a pick is is sort of in between me and the instrument in a way. So it's almost like I've got a deeper connection to it or something.
Well, yeah, it can happen, yeah.
What was your very first guitar?
Well, my very first electric guitar was a Squier Stratocaster, I remember. And it was a 3/4 size because I was too little to hold a regular guitar.
How old were you?
I started when I was 10 years old.
10 years old?
Now I'm 28, so it's quite a long
28.
time that I play. Yeah.
So you've been playing for a while. But
Yeah, I've been playing for a while, yeah.
what made you decide that you want to make your entire life in music, as a professional musician anyway?
Well, to be honest, I didn't really decide to play, to be in the music scene or anything, because, you know, when I was little, music was the only thing I was good at, actually. I didn't really was a good student at school.
Oh,
So music was kind of one of the few things where, let's say, things were easy for me back then. So I was able to learn a lot of things in a really fast way. And because of that, I started doing it more, just because it was easy for me at the start. Then later on, of course, I discovered a lot of incredible players, and thanks to YouTube also I, let's say, documented myself about all the guitar scene, and I learned a lot of stuff, and I started to really study a lot. But at the start, if I have to be honest, I started because it felt really easy to learn things on guitar. And that was also thanks to my father, because I was having a guitar teacher at home, you know, so that was really helpful to me. And I consider myself really lucky because I came from a musical family. Everybody in my family is interested in music in some way. So my brother also plays guitar. I have one brother and one sister, and they both play guitar.
Oh, that must be one heck of a family jam session you guys can do then.
Yeah, we sometimes play together, of course, and especially with my father.
Wow, well,
so because
amazing.
of that environment, I felt that, okay, that will be easy to do because I have all the ingredients available at home, you know. And then of course the passion, and I really like to play with other people. It's something that I really love to do, and that's why I also decided to play electric guitar as my main instrument and not the classical one. Because with the classical guitar you play with too much time alone, just with your score, you know, and there are a lot of beautiful solo guitar pieces, of course, but I feel that I have more fun with the drummer and the bass player on stage, you know, or with the rhythm section in general. That's my place, let's say. Yeah.
It's one thing to play alone and play for yourself emotionally and all that, but that interaction, playing with and playing off of other musicians, can just take you places you could never even imagine on your own. And so that sort of encouragement and inspiration, I think, is a really special thing.
Yeah, even on the football teams, maybe.
Yeah.
If there's no chemistry, the football team doesn't work, you know? And the
Absolutely
same
right.
thing goes with the bands, with musical bands. You can play maybe with someone you haven't played before, but there's a lot of chemistry. You can't really explain it, you know? That's the beautiful thing about music.
We all speak the same language, even if it's not a verbal language. Who are some of the people that you have gotten to play with at your relatively young age? I'm 41, and so I'm a lot older than you. That have just been really special and really meaningful to you in some sort of like a, wow, now I get to play with this person. I'm here. I've achieved something.
Well, it happened quite a few times actually, because in the last few years I was able to play with a lot of my guitar heroes, you know, and that happened in 2022 with DiMeola, for example.
Oh, sure.
And we were able to play together in a jazz festival in Italy, and it was incredibly fun. We played like Mediterranean Sundance, we played Spain together, all his famous tunes, you know, so it was kind of a dream came true. And I have to say I was really nervous before going to the stage, you know, because we have to play with DiMeola in a duo setting, especially like both of us with classical guitars. So. But it was a special thing for me. It's still one of my favorite musical memories now.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then another thing, it's maybe more It happened at the start of 2024, and it was the Steve Vai Academy. It was the first time I participated at the Steve Vai Academy, and the first time I saw Steve Vai playing live.
Oh wow!
And it was amazing. And we also jammed together on the last day, and that was still one of my favorite musical memories for sure.
Oh, that's so cool. And he really puts on a show. He used to stand in the mirror to make sure that his fingers looked good on the fretboard.
Oh yeah.
So it's not just the hair and the fan blowing and all that stuff and the clothes and all that stuff and playing with Zappa and all that stuff. He's the total package, isn't it? You know, a true entertainer, which is such a cool thing. So what is next for you, Matteo?
Well, next for me, the second solo album for sure. I would like to record it before, let's say that by the end of this year, I'm sure we will have something new. And then that's my main goal right now, musically speaking. And then of course I would love to try to go into another city, because right now I'm stuck in Sicily for quite a long time, and I love the place. You know, I love Palermo. It's my hometown, so and I love the food especially. So it's quite hard to move and decide to move, but I would like to stay in a big city, maybe a city where it's full of musicians for a long time, maybe 3 or 4 years, and then coming back. That would be very useful, and I'm sure will be, you can grow a lot as a musician if you play with a lot of other musicians. And I said it on another interview, and it's a phrase that I like to say a lot. When you are the worst musician in the room, that means that you are in the right room. So the best way to improve as a musician is actually to play with people that are better than you.
You are absolutely right. Yeah. My father and my grandfather, musicians both, always said that. You always want to play with people that are better than you, because you have to play up to their level. You play with people that may not really be at your level, and you have nowhere to go, no way to blossom, no way to improve or be inspired, you know. And finding a great bass player and a great drummer like you have with your trio, you've got, I mean, they're a guitar player's dream, you know. You know, the possibilities are endless. Last but not least, have you got any advice for students, especially young people who want to start playing guitar or are just sort of starting out?
Well, if they're starting out, well, I consider myself very lucky, because as I said before, my father was more like a listening guide to me rather than a pure teacher, let's say. So I think a very important thing is to surround yourself with people that has your same passion, let's say. So if you are starting out, maybe search for some friends that have your same passion and play together, because it's a very useful thing, especially at the start. And it can be frustrating at times to start music alone, especially guitar, because it's a very hard instrument to learn, actually. So
it is a very hard instrument.
I guess, if you have like some friends, or maybe also a guitar teacher in your local town that can help you, I think that can be a very good choice to start. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful advice. So everybody, check out all of Matteo's socials, check out his album, which I'll put links to all that stuff and his website and everything right here in the description of this video. Check out more right here in John's Guitar Lounge mobile from the 2025 NAMM show. And I will see all of you again very soon, hopefully. And I hope to see you again soon. And I'm really looking forward to hearing you play at the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Take care, Matteo. Thank you again, sir.